Well, thank you. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody doing MPTS Day 1? Woo. How are you doing MPTS Day 1? Okay, one more time. How is everybody MPTS Day 1? There we go. Okay, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this session at the AM Media Zone. I know there's a lot going on here here at MPTS in its 10th year, but we're super excited to be focusing on really real-world use cases and action of where AI is coming into play. And it's I'm absolutely super stoked to have two amazing speakers and close personal showbiz friends today. But what we want to be doing is really looking at how AI tools are impacting development, production, post-production, where these affect briefs and commissions, how these affect commercial developments, and where these things come into play with actual use cases all the way following up to when you're delivering a show and what that means for your next project in some cases. So without further ado, please put your hands together for our first speaker. It's Nick Parnes, the CEO of Cloud Productions. Hello,
Hi,
hello.
thank you. Thank you very much.
And we've got Kat Viken, the executive producer and CEO of Metronome Media. Thank you. So Nick, we're going to come to you first. You've got the clicker, and obviously Nick and I have been reunited recently because we used to work at MTV together. Does anyone remember MTV? No, because they took it off air in December. But, you know, we were there in like early days and, you know, growing up in this world of production and broadcast and media, development, ideation, you know, where do these concepts come from? It used to be beer and pizza in a room till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And bribing interns to help us come up with cool ideas. And so much has changed. And so we'd love for you to kind of like, please introduce yourself, tell us what you do at Kalal, and get straight into our areas and tricks of the trade around some winning commissions, where AIs come into play, and you know what you've learned along the way.
Yeah, so we are primarily a TV production company, and we pitch ideas to broadcasters, and some of them we get commissioned, but more and more recently have we been using AI to win that commission, to pitch. And also, we've been using AI in the programs themselves for that to be their selling point. So a couple of years ago, just before the general election, 2024, we used ChatGPT to write an email to the commissioning editor without the commissioning editor knowing until the end of the email that the whole email was written by ChatGPT. You know, some 3 weeks later, that would be quite a rudimentary thing to be doing with ChatGPT and everyone. But at the time, it had just come out when I think ChatGPT 2.0 had just come out. It was a really innovative thing to do. So we wrote an email to the commissioner saying what a program would be if it was made by ChatGPT. Anyway, that got us talking to the dispatches team at Channel 4 quite a lot, and we came up with an idea to it was called Can AI Steal Your Vote? And it was all about how AI could be used to sway some voters to vote a certain way because of deep fakes and that kind of technology. So we took so it was of Channel 4 dispatches. We took two different sets of voters, undecided voters. One of the sets of voters we fed Tory AI-generated campaign material that would try and persuade them to vote Tory, and the other set of houses we would try and persuade them to vote Labour. So my first video is just to show you the sort of deep fakes we did with the two leaders of the parties at the time.
I'm proud to announce that the Labour Party has a plan to put asylum seekers with children at the top of the housing list, ensuring that vulnerable families have access to local authority housing.
It has always been a goal of mine to fundamentally improve the NHS. That's why we will be consulting on introducing a £35 charge for GP appointments. This will free up appointments for those that need them most, reduce waiting times and provide more money to the NHS.
So this is an example of the type of deep fakes we created, could try to be as convincing as possible to feed into these homes. That did pretty well for dispatches. So then we were asked to make another show, dispatches that we did more recently, a few months ago, and it was called will AI take my job? And for that, we compared different professionals. We had a doctor or a photographer, and we compared them doing their jobs with an AI doing their job at the same time. So I'm just going to go to a video where a doctor meets with, it's kind of a bit for show, meets with an avatar that we created who'll set the challenge for the task ahead.
With AI already taking on some tasks performed by doctors, the question is, could it do the work of a GP? First to take part in our experiment is GP Tom Rustum, who works in a large surgery in Surrey. We're going to pit him against a medical AI chatbot, which is powered by ChatGPT. Time to bring Tom into a test centre. We want to give him a special welcome.
I'm Dr. Tom Rustum. I'm a GP partner.
He doesn't know that. Using just a few seconds of film footage, we've created an AI version of him to set the challenge and show that it's not just his job, but also his identity at stake.
Hi, Tom. I'm your AI clone. Wow. Today, you're going to compete against a cutting-edge AI to see who's better at treating patients. Are you ready to take your medicine?
That's really weird. I wasn't expecting that at all. If this me is able to talk autonomously, I could see how that'd be totally believable. I think probably overall I'm feeling very scared.
So the point of the program is to assess which industries are most at risk from AI in a typical current affairs dispatches kind of format. But we did a clever kind of stunt because we wanted to make sure we got as much headlines as possible. So we revealed something at the end of the program, which is my last video that I want to show you, which is at the end of this program.
AI is going to touch everybody's lives in the next few years. And for some, it will take their jobs. Call centre workers, customer service agents, maybe even TV presenters like me. Because I'm not real. In a British TV first, I'm actually an AI presenter. Some of you might have guessed. I wasn't on location reporting this story. My image and voice were generated using AI.
So, you know, we wanted to try and win the commission. We needed to use AI we needed to be the first. You know, that looking at that, it does look a bit rudimentary now in terms of you can tell that maybe she doesn't look as real as she would have thought. One would have thought a few months ago. So technology changes, and all the more reason why we as a production company need to keep changing our pitch with the technology that's going. Anyway, so that's what we do. That's always our program has been to try and win a pitch and to be as different from other production companies as possible, and AI is helping with that.
Right, and so obviously, congratulations, it's gone to air, you've been able to successfully pivot, but it's really quite not a pivot, it's more of an integration.
Yeah.
So you can just kind of talk us through like when you were ideating and, the kind of beginning, middle, end of, when you were having to come up with this and where the AI fit in. It wasn't so much you're fitting AI into your pipelines, it was part of the brief, really.
Yeah, I mean, we use AI when pitching. We use lots of different platforms to create the posters. We don't have to spend money now creating posters or filming actual people before we've actually got any money from a broadcaster. And like I said, with using ChatGPT 2 years ago, we'll try and use it in a way that is innovative, that will put our pitch at the top of the pile.
Right. And when you are talking to like Channel 4, Channel 5, what are the commissioners super savvy on where AI could fit into play with the production, and do they set those parameters around, say, responsibility and how you're using things?
Yeah, I think they worry about how it's going to be used. They worry about if a program's going to get endlessly returned, if it's going to keep getting repeated, will it actually be repeating past the stage when something actually has encroached on other rights because it's AI and it's a bit of a no man's land at the moment, but that might change down the line.
Right.
So people are a bit wary of it. So we've used it in such a way where it's not encroaching on any rights and doesn't have as many issues about it.
And you're a production company that was kind of taking that responsibility from the start, so you're listing the tools you use and being very transparent about it, because we know there's a lot of standards coming into play, but you don't let that interfere with the creative side of what you're creating. Like, you know, where do you balance? Where do you find that balance of making sure your creative brief is, you know, honing in on what you want to be delivering?
Well, as a production company, you know, we've always pitched quite provocative programs.
Yeah.
So in the development room, we'll go past most boundaries and then rein it all back, or rein a lot of it back, once we've had chats with the commissioning editor at the broadcasters and decided, right, what do we need to run by the legal team? But every broadcaster and every platform we've always put our stuff on has always had very robust legal teams that will look at our stuff, and we have them internally as well, to assess what can we do and what can we not do. But certainly at the initial stage, we don't worry about the legalities, because we know that comes down the line later.
Right. It is integrated with insurance and production and the lawyers anyway. So that's good that you're going to be able to focus on too. So I think I want to move to Kat real quick, and then we're going to kind of circle back to you, Nick. So thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
Lots more to talk about, but over to you, Kat. We know, obviously, again, coming from our traditional production backgrounds over the last, you know, decade or so, and moving into not so much a hybrid, or it's not so much an AI native, because people are just like realizing you do need these traditional production skills and what you're doing. But tell us what you've been up to and some of the like huge accomplishments along the way. We're talking about Biennale. You're going to Cannes tomorrow, and please also unpack some of the hiccups that's happened along the way too. So welcome, Kat.
Thank you. So Metrotone went AI native, as we've all heard this phrase loads of times, in 2023.
Yeah.
And Metrotone started out with just me and my partner Charles over there. I come from a documentary filmmaker background and traditional filmmaking background. I've also spent some years running Dancing with the Stars out in Europe, in Scandinavia. And Charles has years and years of background in media and digital. So we were kind of ideally placed. And right at the same time as the showrunner of Dancing with the Stars America pulled me aside and said, I don't think we'll have a job in 10 years, was right around the time when Charles started experimenting with DALL-E. Do anyone in this room try DALL-E when it first came out? Yeah. So that was the beginning. And very rapidly, we both kind of went, could we make a film with this? Is this something we could start doing?
Yeah.
And all know what happened in these years. COVID, everything started to crash, commissioning started to crash. We started to have, everything was based on old IP. And Charles was writing a book at the time, a kind of a crazy concept of a K-pop star who only sang Tom Waits covers.
As you do.
And we started thinking, okay, could we make this, could we use AI to make some of these assets? Could we use AI to make people interested in this property, which is it's a franchise potential, but it's totally unknown. And the answer to, could we make a whole film with it was absolutely no back then. As many of you will remember, you could only do really tiny short clips. They sort of started melting straight away. But through our sort of common skill set, we started making music videos. Charles is a music producer, ex-Radio 1, so he started making music the traditional way and started using AI to sort of patch and help with it. And then we released a couple of music videos to the public, and we made a graphic novel.
Right.
And again, lots of traditional skills at that time being required because AI was not really up to par. So loads of Photoshop, loads of all these other things to pull into it. But it generated so much interest. And we got in rooms we would have never got into before as a fairly small production company that had mainly done documentaries. And then it has grown, and now we are in production on Rainmaker, which is a K-pop crime thriller. We showed this teaser in February at the Berlinale to a packed room, And I will talk a little bit about how the tools have even moved on since then, but let's play the teaser.
Yeah, if we got the clicker there, Nick, to your left. Now you're sitting on it. No, it's okay. By the way, we forgot to introduce our third speaker today, Pan L.
Take it down tonight. My mission to Korea. But I'll take my home. In this simplicity, the world I stand alone. 난 후회될 거란 살아있어. 어둠 속에서 나는 살아남고 있어. 후회될
The problem with hiding behind a secret identity, it's bound to end. I always knew he was coming. But now, he doesn't just want me. He wants my only home.
Fuck you, he won't do what you tell me.
But they don't know. I have an army too.
T-shirts available in the foray. You do have merch, by the way.
Oh, we will. So
Right.
this is going about production a totally different way. So normally, you'd have, I don't know, somebody like Disney
Yeah.
creating franchise from the start, or in the case of something like K-pop Demon Hunters, a very popular movie that lagged behind on creating assets because they didn't know how popular it was going to become.
Yeah.
So we have gone the other way. We're creating the short form microdrama first. We're going to users and consumers first through social media, through all of the other channels, and then it's also then becoming a feature film and a streamer cut. And we can make those assets a lot quicker than we could before. But it's a human script. We have human actors that we announced in the press 2 days ago, for those who are interested in looking it up. And I think as an industry first, we have cast online creators with a big following alongside classically trained actors. So we're trying to break ground in a lot of areas, basically.
No, I mean, congratulations. Again, two very different use cases, but still with again, you'll hear this human in the loop bit at the touch, but really, you do need to be, that is part of the responsible of the creative output as well, too. It's just like really making sure that you're staying true to your narrative and what you want to be doing. I think we did, in the description of this panel and some of the things we did talk about, ethics and responsibility can be a whole different a panel, which you can probably find at like 4 o'clock. But both of you having examples of real humans and using real humans and voice, what's something called NILV, which is name, image, likeness, and voice. We all know that that's, transferable, but we do have some, a question coming in really wrapped around what we were talking about. Will there be an actor or human developing copyright, for themselves to prevent, to prevent a misuse, where that kind of comes into play. So how do you approach when you are dealing with a real human? Maybe Kat first.
So, as mentioned, we go script first, and the script is always made by a human. And I'm not sure I understood the question with, how...
So basically, can you I'll read the whole thing. Can you envision actors or brands, locations moving to copyright their image to prevent...
Oh,
wrong
yes.
use. Wrong
Yes.
use. So in your cases, so sorry, I was trying to mix it in with some of the other
Yeah,
things
yeah,
we're
no,
talking about,
absolutely.
but yeah.
I mean, we have one of our actors, David Menken, who's a huge voice actor. He's Lego Luke Skywalker, among other things.
Yeah.
I know that he has taken steps to copyright his voice and his image, and I think we'll see lots more of that. It's easier for the bigger actors to do things like that. For smaller actors, it's harder.
Yeah.
And there's also companies out there trying to sort of commercially deal with it. In Denmark, you had the government actually handing people the copyright to their own image. So things
Right.
like that are going to become more important. I sort of trying to be on the barracks for the UK government to do something similar because, you know, it's very easy to duplicate an image now.
Right. And what about you?
Well, I think it's slightly less relevant to me because we do non-scripted, factual stuff.
Yeah.
So we do use humans to come up with ideas, and they're either contracted to the company and therefore
Right.
owned with the company, or contracted themselves, so they own it themselves. It's the same as it always was, I think, on that front.
Yeah, that's the two very good answers, and it's important we get these when the questions are coming in. Let's see. Do you guys? Well, there's a question here around. Are you concerned anything getting the label of AI slop? But it's definitely not AI slop if you look up the definition of that, because you put a lot of thought into it. Again, with non-scripted and scripted. So I would probably answer for you that it's a no.
Well, it's a very important consideration. So one reason why we chose to work with animation is because I do still feel like even with the very latest models with realism, it's still mildly uncanny. It's better like what you've done when you train it on real people. It does look more realistic. If it's an invented AI actor, there's no such thing. From scratch, they still tend to be a little uncanny. So animation's
Well, that presenter was from scratch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And also when it's based on a real person, yes, the one that you generated, yeah. And she looked pretty great. She was pretty,
But not perfect.
Yeah. And then now still it has that slightly uncanny quality, so I find it easier to work with animation in that way. But we're very, very keen, especially since we work a lot online, that all the first few frames have to not feel like any kind of AI slop that you see, because people will get so sick of it. Just like we'll get sick of AI agent outreach.
Yeah.
So it's really important that it looks good. If we have time, I have another clip with the updated visuals as well. So it does move every month, as you have seen too, I'm sure.
Right, and you've got another something else to show on your clicker, right?
Yeah, it's very brief, but this is with the actors' likenesses, and from fight scenes being quite stilted for a long time, we've moved to better fight dynamics and something quite different. Nice and easy, but that's quite a leap from where we were. So they didn't used to be very good at motion dynamics like that, and just in 2 months, it's a totally different story.
Right, but that's a non-human,
That's a non-human
capture.
fight scene, and we do both. We do prompted and we do motion capture of real martial artists and dancers as well.
Kat, someone else has got a question about you. Like, how long did it take to make the trailer? And then what's the kind of ROI been on that use of AI in your pipeline versus humans making the visual effects?
So about a week, but we use a lot of traditional tools still. We do full post on everything. What you'll notice with the AI generated output is very often now they do things like native audio. So that's generated audio. It's not our own. In the last one, the first one is all our own audio. That's properly posted, and it's very, very, very different. A lot of that audio that you hear, because it's generative, it's pulled from a lot of locations. It is not broadcast quality, and it's not serviceable. You can't put it out. So the traditional skill sets of post and everything else is still very much in play.
Yeah. And so a lot of people always want to know what tools made it. So
that one is that's C-Dance. It's a model called Drumina, but it runs C-Dance too, which is a Chinese model. It is probably arguably the best one out there. The previous one was a mix, the one from February. So it's rare that you can work with just one. They're good at different things.
Yeah.
But there's the latest American and Chinese models are, arguably some of the best out there. I'm still arguing for us creating something better in Britain. So
Maybe
we're
it'll
not dependent
happen.
on
Innovate UK is in the house somewhere. We know that. Oh, maybe co-stars. Who knows? Who knows? Sorry to call you out, Amanda. Sorry. Nick, one more for you, and then I kind of want to circle back to some of our key missions we want to get out of this session around the commissioning and that creative process. Can you let us know, like, the presenter image obviously was AI generated, but how did you integrate the voice?
The voice was done using 11 Labs, and we found in its library it had a particular voice that we thought was good, and we used that. But it kept on getting more and more realistic as the weeks went by whilst we were in the edit. And so, yeah, but it was 11 Labs.
So rather than having the presenter actually like input her voice through a tool and synthesize and make some synthetic version.
Well, there's no, it's all synthetic. So the presenter.
But it wasn't her voice being fed into that, or was it original?
Well, the presenter is completely AI generated, so the voice needed to be somehow. So I don't know where 11 Labs got the voice from.
Her voice, yeah.
But it had come from 11 Labs and licensed to us to use.
Okay, cool. And I mean, obviously these, again, two very different use cases, but there are folks out in the audience wanting to kind of, like, what was the hybrid, the workflow that you used between, at what points were you swapping between a traditional and your AI workflows, or were they running in parallel, or were they integrated completely? Maybe.
Well, we go back and forth.
Yeah, two so different case studies.
Yeah, well, we go back and forth. So, you know, start with a human script. We have our own in-house tools that we use as well. But, we use video generators, we use image generators, but we also have drawn stuff, and we have inspirations that we then put into it. We worked particularly long on arriving at our style because we didn't want it to look like anyone else's style, obviously. And then we do traditional post. We use, NLEs, traditional editors, all of those things. All of our music is produced by Charles.
But when we're doing a pitch, because it's not for broadcast, in reality, we could use on our taster tape, say, that we're using as pitch material, as long as we've licensed it from 11 Labs or something, we could use the voiceover of someone very famous to pitch it to a broadcaster just because it's fun, and it doesn't matter because it's not going to go on TV. So things like that is how we would use it.
Have you used David Attenborough's voice yet?
No, haven't needed to.
Everybody wants to use David Attenborough's voice, even the hundreds. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, let's give a couple kind of fast tips for, where the AI capability, is it going to become a requirement when planning for a commission, and what's the kind of best pieces of advice that you can give? Maybe Nick, starting with you first.
I don't know. We use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini for our research, for creating end cards for the programs, and so I don't. It's as a small production company, it makes it more affordable to be able to pitch in the same way the bigger companies do. So that's how we use it, more off camera than on camera, actually.
And do you feel like you're able to fulfill more briefs now that your team has grown with the savviness of the way?
Yeah, and we can create more stunning. But the one takeout actually we had when it came to creating that presenter, say, was we used a company called Seraphine Valora, who did the first Vogue campaign using AI. Really, they were great, but what we should have done is just got someone in-house, hired them full-time to work 24/7, or not 24/7, but normal working hours.
No sleep at Kalal Productions.
Normal working hours, doing just AI creation of the presenter, rather than going backwards and forwards with a company that doesn't really know how it works, with a commissioning editor giving notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of production companies are moving toward that too. So hopefully we'll
definitely the takeout.
We'll keep our eyes on LinkedIn for that headcount opening up. Nick, who knows too. And last piece of advice from you, Kat. Obviously, let's focus on that kind of like lovely graphic novel and the animation side of things.
Well, I would say the same as Claude. All of these tools can now do a lot for you. It can make decks really fast. It can make pitches really fast. But I would almost say the opposite. It's so important to have the human oversight on it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had a lot of AI agent outreach in the last few weeks. you have to put a human touch on it, because if anyone is experienced with AI, you can spot AI writing from a mile away, and it can be really off-putting. So make sure that you quality check, even if you are using AI. I would absolutely recommend letting it do the rough work for you, but check it. Check what it's written. For God's sake, don't let it go out cold, because I'm seeing everything from big newspapers to everybody else just having LLM output. And it's going to be the next sort of embarrassing thing, and people are just going to click delete on your stuff before they've even looked at it.
Because the LLMs are not alive, as we know.
Yeah, and it's just like, keep checking it, keep having human oversight, even if you can save tons of time having it do the rough work for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
My name is Mookie. I'll be back on many sessions tomorrow around a week, so thank you for supporting the stage and MPTS. We'll see you at the pub.